Today we are going to look at a conditional statement. By solving problem, find the largest of two numbers. So find whenever we say search or find, we need to compare two things or maybe more than two things. So that's why using this problem we are going to learn conditional statement. So as usual, let's find out what is the problem is and whether we can get any input from the problem itself. In this case, find largest of two numbers. The 2 is a key here. That's the input for us to solve the problem. So we needed two numbers. How do we know? The problem itself, it says find the largest of two numbers. So okay, let's start with the flowchart to solve this problem, and along the way we look at the conditional statement, how to draw, and then what is the purpose of it. Okay, so as usual, let's start, and then so we need two numbers. Find largest of two numbers. So we need two input. One is let's call input number 1 because it says numbers, so that means we need number 1. If it is a string, we may need a string 1, string 2. In this case, since it says the problem says two numbers, let's call our input variable name number 1. So we also need number 2, input number 2. This is also input, so therefore we need to draw parallelogram. Okay, now this is where we are going to apply our conditional statement. The condition in computer is a diamond symbol. What we are comparing here? We are comparing number 1 with number 2. So is number 1 greater than number 2? So this is what the condition is. How do we denote this? Using the diamond symbol. This is called conditional statement. Okay. So is number 1 greater than number 2? What it means? Whenever you compare two things, the outcome will be 2, either yes or no. So therefore this should have two outputs. One, if number 1 is greater than number 2, and then yes. If it is yes, we need to display something there. If it is no, because conditional statement always has two outputs. So if it is yes, what does it mean? Number 1 is greater than number 2. If it is yes, the output is number 1. Number 1 is the largest number, so that is greater. So now print number 1. This is output, therefore it's a parallelogram. It is important to indicate the direction, because the conditional state, now we started using conditional, therefore it is very important as and when you go through the flowchart, you start making the direction, so you don't get confused, or you don't get forget later on. So if it is no, then print number 2. Okay, then conditional. So now the task is achieved. Now we found the solution. We get two numbers, two input numbers. How do we know two numbers? Because that's what the problem says, largest of two numbers. So we need number 1, number 2, and then you compare. Number 1 is greater than number 2. If the answer is yes, if the output is yes, then print number 1. So we know number 1 is the biggest number there. If not, number 2 is the largest one. Okay, so therefore the problem is solved now. We need to stop. You can stop there, and then you can say stop there. But as you can see, that there is unnecessary two stop coming in the two branches. Therefore, that is not good practice. So let's do this. Let's connect these two into one flow like that, and then it is important to say the direction there, then put stop. So this way it will be a little bit simpler and neater of our solution. Okay, let's look at the solution now. So as usual, any problem solving flowchart must start with a start and a stop, or begin or end. Okay, so input number one, first number we get the input, number two, then we compare two numbers. This is a conditional statement, therefore it's a diamond symbol to denote that it's a conditional statement. Each conditional statement will have two outputs. Therefore, if it is yes, number one is the largest one. If it is no, then number two is the greatest one. Okay, so that's then stop. As usual, it is your responsibility to test your logic, your flowchart, whether it works or not. Therefore, next one is testing. So how many variables we have? Number one and number two. So number one, number two. We have two input there. Let's apply the input value to the each to number one and number two variables. So let's say number one is 10, number two is 12, and then now apply the logic here is number one, which means 10 is greater than 12. Is 10 is greater than 12? Yes or no? No. Therefore print number 2. So then number 12 get printed, because that's a condition is no. Let's do one more testing to make a yes part. This time let's say number 1 is 22 and then number 2 is 20. Now let's apply number 1 22 greater than 20, yes or no? This is a yes, isn't it? So 22 is greater than 20, therefore number 1 gets printed, so which is 22. Okay, so it is important to test your logic and then make a necessary correction in your flowchart if it is wrong. In this case, this is okay. Now, if you understood this thoroughly, clearly, I want you to do homework or try yourself. Find largest of 3 numbers. Okay, I have done 2. You try to solve your problem. Find largest of 3 numbers. Okay, and then in my next video, I'm going to do my flowchart for solving problem of 3 numbers. Okay, and then you can compare your flowchart with mine in the next video. Feel free to share this video series with your family, friends, and whoever you think is useful. And I'll see you in the next video with a solution for find largest of 3 numbers. Let's compare our both flowchart. Okay, thank you for watching. See you soon.